Hey guys, so I'm back for another video. I know that in my previous video I had mentioned that I was trying to get a hold of a quick guide called Respiratory Notes. I was finally able to get it, so I thought it would be interesting to kind of compare the guide that I just recently bought along with what I was provided through my school. So the one I just recently bought is a quick pocket guide called Respiratory Notes. It's written by Gary C. White and looks like the publisher is F.A. Davis Company, and it's the second edition. Now, the item that I was provided through my school was Oak's Respiratory Care Pocket Guide 9th edition. Now, they're both really great guides, but they both have a little bit of things that are done differently. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to compare the two of them and just tell you what I've noticed so far. So first things first, just going off of appearance, we'll start there because, you know, that's the easiest thing we're looking at first. This is what they look like on the outside. Now, to be honest, if we look at them from the side, we can obviously see that Oak's is going to be a little bit more compact, that it might be a little bit easier to carry in your scrubs. But if you do have deep enough scrub pockets, this one will work just fine. Now, they are both waterproof, reusable. You should be able to wipe liquids right off of them, or fluids of any sort. Respiratory Notes on the back does have a little measurement guide here, so if you need to measure anything, you can just pull it out and look at it really quickly on the back of your quick guide if that's something you need to do. Oak's does not come along with that, but it might be handy to have. Something else about the way the books are set up just visually, on Respiratory Notes there are separate tabs that are labeled, which makes it a little bit easier to find the section that you're looking for. You just grab that tab and flip it open really quick to whatever you need. Now, Oak's does have some color coordination as well, but rather than having labeled tabs that you can see sticking out, the side of the book is labeled with colors, which is fine because I'm sure as you use it, you will get to know what each color is and what you need. They're color coordinated, so I'm sure the more you use it, the easier you'll be able to figure out which one's which. And when you do open it, it has it written on the side of the tab what the actual section is. Sorry, my camera's going crazy with focusing right now. Now let's get into some of the content, because they do have primarily the same sections. They're just either labeled differently, or there is one section that is included in Respiratory Notes that is not in Oak's. Respiratory Notes actually has a full section for neonate and peds, so if that's the area that you're going into, that rotation, this might be helpful as well. Now, because the way each section is set up is a little bit different, depending on what rotation you're going on, you may find one of these more useful than the other. So they both have a basic assessment section. Respiratory Notes breaks it up into two separate things though. They both go through the basic questions you're supposed to ask. Respiratory Notes goes into specific information you might need to think about. For example, perhaps teenagers may be a little bit more shy than an adult regarding when a procedure has to be done that's a little bit invasive. So it talks about things like that. And then also it does have some cultural information if you happen to take a traveling job. For example, I just saw a traveling job recently that was listed to go to Dubai, which obviously there are going to be some differences from country to country. Just a few places that I've traveled, I've noticed differences in South America from North America, things like that. So obviously that'll be nice to make sure you don't accidentally make any really huge offensive mistakes without realizing it. Start off with, after the assessment section, you know, telling you the things you need to look for, giving you standard values for ABGs, respiratory rate, heart rate, blood pressure, all that information. Both books do have a pharmacology section, so it's going to tell you what type of medication you're dealing with. It's not, neither of them are really super specific, so if you have difficulties, for example, an adrenergic bronchodilator versus an anticholinergic, bronchodilator. If you have difficulties with that, it does not define those pieces, and then it gives you the common dosages and side effects in both of them. The next thing, they both have a disease section as well. Respiratory Notes, all diseases are under the tab that just says pulm. Now, they both give you the etiology, the name of the disease, assessment, treatment, and diagnosis. But Oaks has a little bit more information for stages. So Oaks goes a little bit more into depth, whereas Respiratory Notes has all of the same information, it's just very condensed. So if you're okay and you're pretty strong in diseases and you don't need those extra little bits and pieces, you could probably use the Respiratory Notes book, but if diseases was not your best area, Oaks would probably be a better choice. They both have a section for procedures where it's going to tell you about the different equipment we use, what the liter flow needs to be, average oxygen percentages, things of that sort. The one thing that I did notice, they both give you the full procedure, how to use the different devices, but if you're a little bit shaky or a little bit unsure of one of the pieces of equipment, Oaks does give step-by-step information. So step 1, do this, step 2, step 3, step 4, where it gives you every single tiny little thing you have to do, whereas Respiratory Notes, it's a little bit more bullet points, a little bit more condensed. They both get you to the same place, but again, if you were a little bit shakier on your procedures, Oaks might be a little bit better for you if you prefer to have a full setup list. Both of them do have respiratory therapy equations. They're just under different sections. Oaks, it's under the section labeled equations, and then Respiratory Notes, it's under the assessment section for all of your respiratory therapy equations. They do have a separate section called tools that gives you your basic conversions if you're not very familiar with those. So if you're not great with conversions yet, Respiratory Therapy Notes would be the one that I would stick with. Now the biggest thing, Respiratory Notes does have that section for neonates and peds. And like I said, it covers the pharmacology area. It's going to cover all of your things such as your APGAR score, and sorry, I'm just pulling up a page here so I can show you for Ballard's gestational age. Gives you a little bit better of diagrams as well. So I know when I do my pediatrics rotation, I'll probably be taking this one because it does have a lot more information. Actually has all the information, and Oaks didn't have any information specifically for pediatrics or neonates. But the reason that is I believe that Oaks actually has a full set of pocket guides you can get. They have one specifically for mechanical ventilation. They have, I believe, one specifically for pediatrics and neonates, which is another thing that this Respiratory Notes guide does have. It does have a section for mechanical ventilation. I didn't go into that too much because I have not taken my mechanical ventilation course yet, so I can't really tell you a whole lot about it, other than it does exist. So basically they're both really good tools. It's just really all about what you need and what area you feel that you would need a little bit more help in. Also, another thing with Respiratory Notes, although some of the areas are a little bit more condensed, Respiratory Notes does have much better graphics in it. They're much easier to look at, they're much easier to understand. If you also do a little bit better looking at graphs and photos for explanation, Respiratory Therapy Notes may be the way to go. Oaks does have it as well. They just don't have quite as many, or they are not quite as colorful in the graphic area. So if you guys do have any questions, or if you guys use any pocket guides that you like or you think might be helpful in the future, let me know, leave a comment down below. And again, I will be starting my clinicals, not this week, but next week. So it might take me a little bit to post a video next week because that'll be my first week on clinicals, kind of getting into the groove of it, and then also just the new semester. But if you guys do have any questions, feel free to let me know, comment. I always try to get back to you guys as soon as I can. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Come on, focus. You can do it. You can do it. focus.